he has the look of someone that, like, in the murder mystery, it's like, I wonder who could have killed this guy. And it's like, it's very clearly Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, we have hundreds of sound bites.
There's no doubt that this guy is the killer. Please lock this man up.
It's the IDP show, now you know.
Welcome to the IDP show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Sode Shack, Adam Markham. Tonight, we are looking at the 20 biggest values in the middle of your IDP drafts. Addy, we teased this episode earlier in the offseason. We did our favorite picks rounds 1 through 10, and we said the middle rounds, that's really where you earn your stripes as an IDP manager. So tonight, we are going to be looking at rounds 11 through 20 of IDP drafts to tell you some of our favorite values. I'm admittedly weaker in this portion of the draft, Addy, because the last third of the draft, I'm just like hammering whatever DBs are there. So this is the area of the draft I really want to get better, and I think this is a helpful exercise to do so.
Yep, I agree. Well, disagree in the fact that I'm not as good in this part. Right?
Yeah, you're good.
Right.
We know 1 through 31. There's
no weaknesses.
No
right?
weaknesses.
Perfect. The perfect player. That's me.
99 across the board. Create a player.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm trying to be humble and a man of the people, but
got to call it what it is.
Yeah, we got a God walking amongst mere mortals.
Pretty good
here.
stuff right here. Yeah, this is fun though, man. This is a lot of guys that are slept on for whatever reason, right? And when you dig deeper into the stats, you're like, why is this guy slept on? And there's just those guys that fall through the cracks, and you know, you get bored of them. There's going to be a lot of guys that have been in the league for 8+ years that we've discussed tonight.
They're not sexy anymore.
Not sexy, but they get the job done, and you know what you have in them, and that is so important in these best balls. A guy that you can rely on, know what type of production to expect from him. But also with these vets, like, I mean, they have good secure roles, right? You're looking for playing time. You can't miss. You can't whiff in these rounds at all.
And I think that's where I was struggling was I was taking some high upside swings, and more and more as we talked about this, you're right in that you want to just hit doubles, just get on base with these middle rounds. You can't strike out here. And I will say, I think there's going to be some guys from this list that we're going to talk about tonight that are the league winner type of picks, because these are the guys that are going to not cost you a lot and vastly outperform their ADP. You're going to get a top 12, top 6 finish from someone on this list, and it's going to win you a lot of your leagues.
Yeah,
so
I got someone up top that we can talk about.
Well, let's get right into it, Addy. I'm excited. So like I said, folks, we are going rounds 11 through 20. This is pulled from the ADP that is available on our website, theidpshow.com, for paid supporters. We also have combined ADP up there now. Professor IDP, Adam, Evan Ringler have been doing some combined best ball drafts that are a lot of fun.
Tons of fun.
So if you want to get in, make sure you're following those guys on Twitter. Make sure you're subscribed to the website. We'll be sending out some more invitations for those all off season. So we've got both sets of ADP, but tonight we're looking at the IDP. ADP, again, available for paid supporters over at theidpshow.com. Rounds 11 through 20. Addy, let's kick things off. My favorite pick from round number 11 is a guy that I took in the IDP Madness mock draft that we did earlier this week on Tuesday, and it is Preston Smith going at the 11:04. And you've said before on this very show, fade the earlier edges in drafts and grab you a Preston Smith later. Well, here he is, Addy, 11:04. He's dual designated. Now, he had a spike year in 2019. He had 12 sacks. He scored 225.5 points. But otherwise, he has been Mr. Consistent between 4 and 8 sacks every season. He's never missed a game, and he has scored between 130 and 190 points every season. That is, like you said, the kind of consistency, the safe, reliable floor that we want in these middle rounds.
Yeah, right. But also that nice upside, too.
That's right. We can see it.
Those spikes. Yeah, just a good player. Slept-on player. I think he has like a career pressure rate of 11%. So nothing, too crazy, but solid. I mean, that's good for a career, And then, I'm not worried at all about his role next season. I expect him to have, similar snap share to what we just saw. Similar production too. But yeah, if you can get him in the 11th round, that's amazing. The problem is he's starting to creep up a little bit, right?
Yeah,
we've been talking about him. We've been name dropping him a lot.
Yeah.
I think you did just take him in the 9th round.
Yeah,
so.
the IDP madness it's a tough format, especially that room that we're in.
Yeah, definitely.
Not a lot of value to be had.
Right, yeah. Everyone's been drafting all off season, so that's not your typical room. But still, I think you can get a lot of value from watching those episodes just because a lot of good drafters. So, I mean, I think that board is like, you can almost use that board as like a set of rankings, honestly. I think.
And you can take that board and probably bump it back 2 rounds in certain instances, right? Because, I went Preston Smith in the 9th round of Madness. He's going at the pick 132 overall in the ADP, but post-draft 127. So he's already creeping up about half a round here post-draft, and I think that will keep going up.
I think so, too, but especially in Madness, too, though, with them getting that dual designation.
Dual designation in Madness, I think, is the teams that are going to do well in Madness, which, by the way, folks, if you're watching this, IDP Madness registration for this season is live on the site, theidpshow.com. We're going to start getting those leagues filled out. But I think the teams that are going to do well are going to be heavy on the dual desi side, just because, and you brought it up on the stream, it is one of those things where maybe it would be better if they just got rid of it in Sleeper because there's really no rhyme or reason to it. But as long as we've got it, you might as well take advantage of it and fill 2 roster spots with 1 player, especially when you have a diminished bench going from, 17 bench spots down to 10?
Yeah, I think it's 15 bench spots, but you have 16 starters.
That's right, 16 starters, yes, so 15 down to 10.
Yeah, and then 14 starters in Madness, 10 bench, right?
Yep.
Yeah, love Preston Smith, man. I've 25% on the exposure. I went and looked on our buddy Dynasty Daddy's website.
Yes, great site.
Dynasty-daddy.com. That's DADDY.
Yes, probably one of the best sites for like a suite of tools to analyze your best ball portfolios, your dynasty leagues. I mean, the tools that he has on that site are mind-blowing.
Yeah, we didn't even know you had it like that, bro.
Jeremy, what's going on, bro? Because you are on a whole nother level when it comes to like analyzing your fantasy football game.
Yeah, he's got a warp tool. You can check out your portfolio, see all the exposures you got. So that's what I've done. I've got I've went through and kind of found all the exposure for all the guys I'm going to talk about tonight. So, but tons of stuff to do on that website. So
check it out.
Definitely
not a sponsor, but
soon to be sponsor. Probably.
Yes, we love Dynasty-Daddy.com. So make sure you check it out.
So one of my favorite picks, and actually this guy this is the guy I have the most of. 50% exposure on DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yes, speak on it.
91.0 overall PFF grade for Lawrence in 2023. That was 8th best among edge rushers. 11.9% pressure rate last season. His career rate is 12.3, so in line with his career. 14.3% pass rush win rate. This was 22nd best among 54 qualifying edge rushers. Guy still has it.
Guy still got it, Addy.
Dorrance Armstrong's gone. Dante Fowler's gone.
Out of there.
I do like Sam Williams. I do like the rookie Marshawn Nealand, but I don't think they're ready yet. I feel like they're going to try and, run D-Law till the wheels fall off. So I expect him to have a monster year. I think if I was picking, who's this year's Khalil Mack, D-Law.
D-Law fits the bill.
I like D-Law quite a bit. I think Zadarius Smith is another candidate for that, but, one of these vets that had kind of a down year. Also, Von Miller's a guy that I think could really bounce back.
I've taken him in the last or second to last
and he's
round.
Super cheap. He's not even in the ADP for he's not even in contention for this episode.
No, he really isn't.
In the 20.
He has been there several times in the 30th or 31st round. Because
I was silly.
I was kind of stacking him and Jamal Adams at the end of draft, just being like, who knows with Von Miller, and then Jamal Adams ends up landing in Tennessee. So
I'm still not really buying Adams.
Yeah, it was just like a late whatever.
Yeah, it's fine there. I think Because it's going to be too high now for Jamal Adams.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a big-time riser,
Yeah.
which
No thanks.
31st round, final dart throw, sure, why not? But,
Any
Von Miller
earlier.
has been available there. He might not even get drafted in a lot of these madness
Yeah, I don't
leagues.
think so. But I expect him to have a bounce back, a little one, right? I mean, it can't get worse than what it was.
Unless the wheels have just totally fallen off.
Yeah, but I'm hearing good stuff. I'm hearing that everyone's, saying he looks like his old self.
He's a proud dude, man. He knows he was awful. And he said, I was so banged up, I was so hurt, I should not have been out there. Did you see this quote from him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I should not have been out there last year.
Yeah.
So that gives me some hope that maybe what we saw was just a product of this guy was really hurt.
Yeah. But this was a great round. Jerome Baker's also going in the 11th round. I have 33% exposure on him. Dorrance Armstrong also going in the 11th round. I have 17% exposure on him. Nick Benito is going in the 11th round. I like Benito, just not in that range. You can usually get him like 2 or 3 rounds later than that.
Yeah,
I just took him in the 13th in the IDP Madness mock we just did the other night.
Yeah, we should mention the ADP is going to start to kind of loosen up as we go throughout this episode. We might say a guy is going in the 14th or 15th round, but they may also go in the 11th or 12th. They may also go in the 16th or 17th. As we go further into the draft, the band, I think, widens for some of these guys.
Yeah.
So,
and don't get too caught up in that. I mean, just know these are the guys you want to target later in your draft.
yes,
right?
when you get to that
These guys
middle,
will fall. These guys 100% will fall. Like
middle portion of your draft, just put them in your queue and see how the board's falling. And
take who falls.
yeah, target these guys. That's the kind of exercise that we're going with here. It is more about just circle these players. So let's go to the 12th round, though, Addy. And speaking of dual Desi, I'm going to go with Baron Browning. This is a really gross round. There are some rounds, we had this on the last episode that we did. This one was the same way, where it's just some of these rounds suck. Just the way the board breaks down and that 12-pack of players for this round. This is one of those rounds where it's just really, really gross. Let me actually read it, because I think it will give people an idea of just how bad things are. So round 12, Bradley Chubb, Shaq Thompson, Micah McFadden, Baron Browning, Pete Warner, AJ Epinesa, Chase Young, Drew Sanders, Willie Gay, Cam Hayward, DJ Wanham, Devondre Campbell. That is a gross round. You basically have a ton of guys with injuries, right? You have Shaq Thompson coming off a bad injury, Bradley Chubb probably not going to start the season. Don't
have any of those guys.
Chase Young dealing with a neck injury already on PUP. Drew Sanders, that was
Torn Achilles.
Torn Achilles out. You have Devondre Campbell. I don't think he had a very serious injury.
He's
but
got a half a year.
He's got half a year
when
Greenlaw comes back, so sort of an injury contingency there. So just an awful round. But I'll go with Baron Browning. He's the least offensive option to me. He's dual Desi. DJ Keltown pointed out on the IDP draft stream, the key to winning best ball this year might just be take a Broncos defensive lineman in every draft. Thankfully, there's some good options to pick from on that Denver defensive line. Don't forget, we talk about it, we joke about it, but it is a real thing. Browning is in a contract year, but if you want to get Zach Allen, Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito, go for it. I think all these guys are fine targets, so give me Baron Browning here at the 1204.
Yep, a lot of unknown. None of those guys are being drafted high at all that you mentioned. I mean, Zach Allen may have the highest ADP of the group, and it's like 9th or 10th round.
I think one of these guys is going to really outperform their ADP.
Yeah.
I think at least one of them is going to be a very nice pick. It's just a matter of which one is it going to be.
I think it's one of the edge rushers in Browning or Benito. We do need to give some Jonathan Cooper some love, though. He was really, really good last season. But I would bet on Browning, I think, if I had to. Also, did you see the thing where Browning is letting people invest in him?
Yes, I did. That's really cool.
Kind of cool.
You can invest and then get a portion of his future contract.
Yep.
So pretty neat.
Yeah, I like that kind of.
Yeah, I might get in on that.
Yeah.
A little $5 little buy-in.
Yep.
Get me a piece of pie.
Sure.
We need so Barron is really banking on, really betting on himself.
He's in a contract year,
which you love to see.
So I don't hate it. I've got 17% exposure to Browning, 14.2% pressure rate last season for Baron Browning, 13.5 for his career. So yeah, big fan. That's who I would have chosen. But you did the prep first, so I got seconds.
Cheers to me.
Yeah. So don't be a slacker.
I did try to leave you some leavings, though.
Yeah, you knew. If you would have taken all of them, you would have gotten your head off.
Head busted.
So, yeah, not a fan of this round either. But I do like AJ Epinesa. We haven't talked about him much lately, so I'll pick him here. 13.2% pressure rate last season. That was up from his 10.8% career pressure rate. 20 tackles and 6.5 sacks on 41% of the snaps. All those numbers career highs. He was number 2 in points per snap. Number 1 was TJ Watt. Number 3, 4, 5 was Jalen Phillips, Khalil Mack, and Jonathan Grenard. So that's very, very nice company.
Very good company.
13 sacks over his last 2 seasons. And remember, not a lot of playing time. That's 41% last season, 38% in 2022. So,
boy, that is a bad snap percentage.
Yeah, but I mean that's you like that. I mean, the fact that he is able to produce with the low one, it makes you wonder what's going to happen if he could get 60%, which I think is in his range, man. Leonard Floyd's gone. I do like the bounce back for Von Miller this season, but I mean, I think.
Could Vaughn just be like a third down kind of designated pass
I think
rusher
so.
at this point in his
I think so,
career
too.
just to keep him fresh?
But I think AJ Epinesa is like actually good. Like we've mentioned that a lot on this pod. Like
I really wish he had gone to another team.
Yeah.
Where he would get a little more
Yes,
run.
me too.
That was a heartbreaker when I'm really shocked he did not have more of a market.
it wasn't a long deal though. It was like a 2-year deal I think that he got.
I'll look it up here while you talk.
But yeah, it kind of reminds me, and he kind of reminds me of like Trey Hendrickson a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just super efficient. Hasn't really got his chance yet. His next stop, I think we could see him ball out. But yeah,
It was a 2-year, $12 million contract, $10 million guaranteed.
yeah. So that's a bargain for Buffalo.
Yeah, so he is.
And I thought he would have had a better market than that.
They have a potential of $3 million in cap savings, so they could get out after 1 year if they wanted to.
Oh, something else cool with AJ Epinesa. 17 defensive linemen had multiple 30-point games in 2023. And we're talking about Big Three scoring, of course. AJ Epinesa was one of those 17, finishing with 2 30-point games.
That's impressive, especially on a 41% snap share.
Yeah, man. So I'm a fan. I'm in. I mean, this is, round 12. I don't think you're going to have to take him this early. I think he's fallen to me in a lot of spots.
Yeah, let's see what his post-draft has looked like.
But he's just one of those guys that falls through, There's so many
He's
good
slid
guys in this range.
7 picks.
Yeah.
He's now going at 150.9.
But he's just one of those guys that, I don't know. He's almost like a punchline for whatever reason. Like people are embarrassed to draft him.
Well, and there also are better options, I think, that people like more along that defensive line. People would much rather have a Gregory Rousseau, an Ed Oliver.
Sure, of course.
So I think that's like.
But you got to spend up.
You do
use a 5th or 6th round pick for him.
But then you're like, oh man, it's like you feel like you're getting sort of the leftovers on that defensive line, but you're also getting it at a significant discount.
Yeah.
And so I think there is.
I think Epinesa had more sacks than Rousseau last season, or he was close. 6.5 sacks, and Rousseau didn't have that many.
Did you think Rousseau leads the team in snap percentage, assuming health for everybody?
Yeah, I think so. I think
so,
Rousseau
too.
is going to be like 65, 70. And
then
I'd
Epinesa
say Epinesa
over under
50 to 60.
I was gonna say over under 50% of snaps
I'll
if
go
healthy.
over. I'll go over.
Okay, I like it, especially in this range. I think it's not the worst thing in the world to.
Floyd got 54% last season.
Yeah, so
I
could,
think he
could he
just
step right in and just be the Floyd replacement?
I think so.
Yeah.
and better, probably better at run defense too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you may get more tackles out of Epinesa. So
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Just want to see the playing time tick up a little bit.
Yeah.
It has been going up. That we should point that out. 38%,
and it's improved. The
then
plays
41%. So I think
production's been improving. So everything you want to see.
That defense needs some help. They've
the guy's still really young. He's not. He's like 20, probably 6.
Yeah, this is his second contract. So I think he wants to cash in and get a big payday. Maybe this was like a comeback and sort of prove it deal with Buffalo. But let's move on to a player who left Buffalo and
He's
actually
25.
25, even better.
Yeah.
Who did leave Buffalo and found a new team. We are going to the 13th round and talking Tyrel Dodson, 1307 right now in IDP drafts. Samson Ebukam is another one that is tempting here as well because I think it's going to be him and Leatu Latu as the two leading snap getters at edge rusher for Indianapolis. But I like getting a starting linebacker this late in the draft. Dodson is still LB 57. He's climbed 50 spots or 4 rounds since the draft. But even as the 10th pick of the 9th round, which is where he's going right now, that's insanely good value. Same with Jerome Baker, who you mentioned earlier, Addy. He's sitting at LB 49. So that's actually the value right now in league since the draft, going a full round after Dodson. So it's flipped.
Baker?
Yeah, Baker is going a full round after Dodson.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. I like both these guys.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take
I like
either
Baker
one.
better, though.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're getting a value on him now. You mentioned I took Dodson in the Madness mock draft, and I think you took Baker maybe a little bit later.
Yeah.
So kind of bears out here. So, I think I don't know why. I understand that these aren't like the sexiest names, and they kind of feel like, I was hopeful that Seattle would maybe go out and get someone like a Patrick Queen or some big sexy name on the free agency market. So when they brought in Dodson and Baker, it was like, okay, that's not the sex appeal that we wanted there with Mike McDonald. But don't forget, this is the guy that also just made Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen look really, really good there in Baltimore. So they were already, pretty good players before McDonald's kind of rise, but he definitely made both these guys look really good and made Patrick Queen a lot of money. So I don't know what's not to like about these guys. They're already off PUP. They're already practicing. We were a little worried about that because they started training camp on PUP, but they're already off and practicing. So I think Will's up for both these guys, and if you can snag a linebacker this late in the draft that's going to be on the field for – we saw Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith. If that's the plan that Mike McDonald has for these guys – these are both going to be 90% of snaps players.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the worry is, though, that he doesn't have the personnel.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that maybe it's only one of those linebackers that gets a nice, healthy
Could be.
workload. Because there was a stretch where Queen wasn't getting, remember he was his snaps would dip up and down. He'd be playing 7% one week. And so I think there's been a time underneath McDonald where it's, he's not deployed 2 full-time linebackers, or at least 2 linebackers with over 90% of the snaps. So that's what gives me a little bit of pause. But what kind of makes me want to unpause is that there's just not much around him.
That's the thing. It's who's there? It's Tyrese Knight, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah. Now,
so
they could maybe play a bunch of DBs, I guess.
They did just give Julian Love a nice little contract extension.
He'll play a ton of box and slot. Yep. And then also Rayshon Jenkins is there now too. But they got rid of Quandre Diggs.
They got rid of Jamal Adams. They've completely turned over that middle part of the defense from the defensive line back. The defensive line is still relatively the same. You had, Byron Murphy. Yeah. But then you bring in 2 new linebackers, 2 new safeties. So,
but maybe one of those. Maybe Dotson could be in danger of losing his job to Tyrese Knight as the season wears on.
Could be. And so if you want to
probably unlikely.
If you want to stack a Tyrese Knight at the end of drafts or something as a possible handcuff, I wanted to look it up. So Patrick Queen last season, 97% of snaps, basically. Roquan Smith, 92.2.
Yeah, so that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Even if those guys both got north of 85% of snaps, that's cool with me too, man.
Yeah.
Because like we said, they're going here in these middle rounds, and it's just
if Dodson gets 70, that's fine.
We saw, and
it's a value here if he gets that, So it's a good pick. It's a solid pick. I just don't know that. I don't know that there's a ton of upside, I guess.
No.
And I do worry about there being a healthy amount of risk, with both of them.
Yeah, that's why I think Samson Ebukam could be a nice pick here. But this is really where you start to see the DBs get folded in. We'll talk about your guy here in just a sec. But other than him, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Kyle Duggar, Jeremy Chin, Cam Bynum, Julian Love. And then besides the DBs, Tyree Wilson, Samson Ebukam, Josh Uche, Tyrel Dodson, Dayon Henley, Arnold Ebiketie. So, yeah, just a lot of guys with question marks that, maybe Dayon gets a little bump now because of the Junior Colson news, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah, I will talk about another guy a little later on who I think will benefit from that Junior Colson news as well. So let's go to your player, though, Addy. Who was your favorite pick in the 13th round?
I like old Josh Metellus.
Yeah, tell me about it.
13.2 right now. And I'm pretty much choosing Metellus because he has been recently blessed with the linebacker tag and sleeper. But amazing usage in 2023. Out of his 1,063 snaps, 206 were on the defensive line, 377 were in the box, 396 were in the slot, and only 55 at free safety and 29 at cornerback. So usage does not get much better than that. And I don't see any reason why Metellus won't thrive again in 2024. If you look at the linebackers going around him, none of them come close to Metellus's 2023 production. So here are the guys in his orbit. Devon Diablo, Michael McFadden, Jerome Baker, Edrin Cooper, Devondre Campbell, Tyrel Dodson, Deion Henley, Denzel Perriman, Isaiah McDuffie, Dre probably going to miss half the season, Greenlaw, Leo Chenal, Cody Barton. Metellus outscored every single one of those guys. If you include Metellus among linebackers from last year, he would have been linebacker 20.
So the boy was balling. Boy had him a nice season.
Finish was 230 total points. So
you took Metellus in the Madness mock, didn't you?
No, but I took him in one of the. I've been taking him recently. In some of the,
maybe you were
ones.
talking about him.
Yes.
A lot of the guys I'm going to talk about tonight. If you pull up that Madness draft board, we're pretty much going just right down the list.
Yeah.
I want to walk the walk and talk the talk, Eddie. These should be guys that we're drafting.
Yeah.
For
sure.
So I love it, Josh Metellus.
But he's going to be going up.
Yeah.
Especially after this drops.
What is up with Metellus not getting the love here? He's moved up 2 full rounds, so he was at 148.8. He's now sitting at 124.2.
It should probably be even more.
That would make him like a 10th round pick.
Yeah, I mean that's where he should be going. He'd be going around like guys like Demario Davis, probably in that range because he has this linebacker tag now. Now, what would really suck is if they
take it away,
right?
And you're like, what?
Yeah,
if they give it,
they can't do that.
If they give it to a player. And they really should do it like before drafts start ramping up because it's not fair. Oh, all of a sudden Josh Metellus gets linebacker designation in the middle of a draft.
But that was really the case with him. He didn't have it until like about a month ago.
Someone sent in an angry email probably or
right.
submitted the form.
But I mean, when you look at that usage, I mean, that's probably not far off. I mean, the guy only played, 55 snaps at free safety, 29 at cornerback. And then, everything else was box, slot, defensive line. So.
Yeah. I'm with you, though. I think just moving to DL, DB.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that. The dual designation stuff is fun. It's cool.
It's a nice little cheat code.
It's cool, but it's also stupid. I mean, it's like
if it doesn't make sense or follow some sort of protocol or have some sort of thresholds where you can anticipate it.
And also, to speak to the dumbness, if you look at a team like the Raiders, Tyree Wilson has dual designation. He's a linebacker and defensive lineman, but Max Crosby doesn't.
Yeah, it's just weird.
So it's just
are they trying to juice Tyree Wilson to make him more appealing?
It's just a bunch of weird stuff like that, you know.
Make it make sense, Sleeper.
Yeah.
So either, guys, listen, we love you. Either make it make sense or get rid of it. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
But hey, make it make sense, and then we'd be cool with it because I do like that option.
Give it to everyone. Mm-hmm. That's a edge rusher.
Yep. Or
take it away.
Or give it away. Yeah.
Every edge rusher, every defensive tackle is a defensive lineman.
I like that better.
I do too.
Yeah, I think
more fair.
Just makes more sense.
Yep.
So let's move to the next round, Addy, 14th round, and we're going with another linebacker. Not the highest upside in these rounds. I'm not looking for the slam dunk, sexy, top 12 sleeper. But Isaiah McDuffie is a guy going at 14.09 right now. I mentioned the Chargers linebacker that might be getting a bump. Denzel Perryman is in this round. Junior Colson out, appendix removed. I think if Perryman can stay healthy, this procedure, at least for me, seals that Denzel Perryman will start the season as the lead linebacker. I don't think he will finish the season as the lead linebacker, but now with Junior Colson shelved with the appendectomy, I think Junior Colson will be playing second, maybe third fiddle, with Perryman starting the season as the lead linebacker. But I'm going with McDuffie here because I'm 95% confident it'll be him and Quay as the top linebackers in Green Bay. This is one of those instances where I think the ADP just has it wrong. Edgerrin Cooper, LB50, McDuffie, LB60. I don't see this as a situation like Los Angeles where the rookie could supplant the veteran later in the season. I really do think if McDuffie is healthy, it's his job. Now, I still think Edge Cooper is going to get some run, but I think when you see that breakdown of snaps, it'll be Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie as the two lead dogs there in Green Bay.
I agree. The defensive coordinator is formerly from Boston College.
That's
which
right.
Is where McDuffie played. So
nice little connection.
I like
there.
that connection quite a bit. And then Green Bay just feels like one of those teams where they are one of those teams that they ease the rookies in, you know,
and they draft them well before they need them.
Right.
Like you don't need not only Edge Cooper.
Didn't need Van Ness, you know.
You didn't need Tyrone Hopper. You definitely didn't need Van Ness. But Van Ness, guess what, is going to slot right in.
I do like Van Ness. Don't take that as shade.
Yeah, but you didn't need these guys.
Right. They took a ton of safeties, I think.
You didn't need Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers still on the team. But this team
worked out, though.
Legitimately drafts about 3 years before they need these guys.
Yeah.
It's a smart organization.
McDuffie was good. You know, he was really good last season and solid and is a veteran and, you know, knows what to do. And, again, familiarity with the defensive coordinator. So, I like that call. Haven't been able to get enough of McDuffie because, I mean, he usually goes – I don't know. Recently it feels like he's been kind of
I think he's actually slipping. I think I looked
Everyone's
it up.
maybe getting a little excited about Edgerrin Cooper a little bit.
Yeah, he's dropped 0.2 post-draft. So he's basically stayed about where he is. But I bet you Edge Cooper, let's see what Edge Cooper has done. I bet, well, he wasn't in there post or pre-draft.
That is a scary pick, though. You know, I mean, it's one of those deals where, like, if Edgerrin Cooper is that dude, I mean, there's that chance, too, that Edgerrin Cooper could just be a stud and, like, they got to get this dude on the field immediately. And
That's the risk we'd run with all of these rookies, man.
Yeah.
Like Peyton Wilson could vaporize anyone behind. Exactly. Landon Roberts is gone. I really think we might be headed for like a late August Cole Holcomb retirement announcement.
Yeah, probably so. What's the latest news on him?
He is on PUP. Jeff Pomazal covered it today on the IDP Minute. No timetable from his return according to Tomlin.
We called that. That was the worst, maybe the worst injury of last season.
Not like doing well. We think was no timetable.
Yeah,
that is not good.
It was a terrible injury.
It was terrible, career ending potentially, and I think that is how it will shake out. But yeah, the risk is there with all of these rookies that they could just come in and
that Peyton Wilson pick is a lot more interesting, I think. You know?
Yep. So
just a Landon Roberts in front of him.
Yep. Yeah. So, and, you know, it's just Isaiah McDuffie in front of Edgerrin Cooper. It could absolutely be Edge Cooper and Quay Walker. It could be Isaiah McDuffie and Edge Cooper. Like, we don't know, man. So I think that there is a case to be made for looking at these rookie linebackers, but the recent history just suggests that it is not a good pick. Especially, well, I guess you could make the case that in a format like this, that could be a nice little late season kind of play.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like maybe they don't crack your lineup the first 8 weeks of the season, but down the stretch, some of these rookies are going to fold in.
Yeah,
whether by injury or just outplaying the competition there at their position. But it's like picking out how that comes about and who those guys are, that's a dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rather
the most
dangerous game. Don't look that up on YouTube. But yes, I would just rather take the safe veterans here. So you're actually going with a player who has been moved around a little bit, much maligned, but you're kind of liking this offseason.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, Zaven Collins.
Okay.
Zaven season, potentially?
Question mark?
17% exposure to Zaven. So I'm drafting some Zaven. I drafted him in our recent IDP drafts episode. So we talked about him a little bit then, but we'll do it again here. Zaven didn't tear it up in the stat sheet, finishing with just 41 tackles and 2 sacks on 58% of the snaps. But it was just year one of him being a pass rusher, right? So, I mean, I don't want to get too caught up in that because when you look at the advanced metrics, they're pretty solid. 30 pressures on 272 pass rush snaps. That's 11% pressure rate. 72.1 overall PFF grade, 61.9 pass rush grade. So fine, those are solid. Again, I kind of treat him like a rookie last season because he's playing a different position. But I love his situation and the surroundings there in Arizona. I think the juice is back in the building there.
Yep, I think so too.
Kyler's a year and a half removed from the ACL tear. You got Marvin Harrison coming in. Trey McBride is looking like one of the up and coming tight ends.
Jonathan Gannon studying momentum going back to the 1800s. I don't
He's
know.
a weirdo.
Yeah, he's a total
loose
weirdo.
cannon.
Yeah. He's going to say something really weird probably at some point this season.
Like silent killers, you know.
Did you take the bus to get here?
Yeah. A lot of weird stuff, the stuff about the gut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of weird stuff from him. The pew, 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 just they keep coming to my mind.
Yeah, you just gotta get the microphone away from this guy's face.
That guy's a weirdo.
Yeah.
And also, I remember like when he was with Philly and like there's that video of like a fan interviewing him like in his car saying he was going to gut the Chiefs. This guy's just a psychopath.
Yeah, he has the look of someone that like in the murder mystery, it's like, I wonder who could have killed this guy. And it's like, it's very clearly Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, we have hundreds of sound bites.
There's no doubt that this guy is the killer. Please lock this man up.
Yeah, so he's dangerous. That's concerning, but I think it's good energy to have in the building.
And he's a mind
a little bit of fear is always good.
Just like what's going to happen if I don't play well? Is coach going to take me out behind the building and kill me?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, the defense is like there's no one there that like Zaven's going to get a chance to play, and also I also like the fact that they declined his option. So I mean that should be motivating for Zaven.
Yep.
I mean he's going to want to I think prove and have an opportunity to make some money elsewhere.
How did this defense not get literally any better? Like did I miss any?
They got Darius Robinson, which I like,
but what
they
else?
Got Mac Wilson. And
that's it. I mean, look at the edge rushers. It's BJ Ojolari. It's Dennis Gardeck. It's Zaven Collins. It's like
it's not good.
It's gotta be probably the worst defense in the NFL.
So I'll bet on Zaven. This is 14th round. Dual designation. Like
that's nice.
We'll see. And he reminds me of like a Kyle Van Noy type player. Honestly.
Well, let's just talk about it, Addy. Because that's my pick in the 15th round. Speaking of 1501, Kyle Van Noy. This is an Addy special. And I'm
piggybacking off this one. This round sucked.
Yeah, this round, we'll read this round here in just a second. It's another putrid round. Yeah. But this continues my run of mentioning players I took in the IDP Madness mock draft. Preston Smith, Tyrel Dodson, Kyle Van Noy, Baron Browning, Isaiah McDuffie. I'm about that life, folks. I'm going to talk about players I'm taking. And as sexy as the other positions are on this Ravens defense, you think about linebacker and safety, it's defensive tackle with Justin Matabike. There's some sex appeal on this Ravens defense. Edge rusher is not sexy, but Van Noy pencils in as the starter opposite Odafe Owe right now, and since 2017, he's scored between 141 and 195 points. He's dual desi, he's consistent. That is the formula, folks, for a perfect middle round target. And don't forget, the Ravens like Van Noy. They gave him a 2-year, $9 million deal. They'll probably get out of that next year. Maybe he retires, rides off into the sunset. But for right now, Addy, Kyle Van Noy, I think, is the literal perfect because he's in the 15th round. Our drafts are 31 rounds, so this is right near the very midpoint of the draft. And I think Kyle Van Noy encapsulates who you want to target in these mid rounds.
Oh, yeah. Love him. I love the little 141 to 195 range. Someone's been looking at the history tab.
Yes. Look, I'm learning, folks. I'm learning from the God amongst mere mortals here.
It's an awesome thing to do. I recommend when you're comparing players, check and see how they're playing and performing year to year.
And look how tight that band is. A 50-point spread, essentially.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
There's not a lot of that, right? So, yeah, I love Kyle Van Noy. Super slept on for his career. 12.9% pressure rate. 14.1% last season, though. And, yeah, maybe the sack numbers come down in 2024. Remember, he had 9 sacks across 14 games. And, again, that is career high. But also expect the tackle numbers to go up. 30 tackles last season. That was his lowest output since 2015. He has averaged 60 tackles per season over his last 8 seasons. So
that's beautiful.
That's really nice.
He was well under his tackle average.
He flipped what he normally does. He was
Like, I'm just going to sack people this year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tackle.
Yeah, I don't want to
too
tackle.
hard on the body.
smart.
Going to rack up some
Smart
sacks.
business moves. He's gotten older, gotten wiser.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense. People want to pay more for sacks. He's smart. He knows what he's doing.
So why do you see Zaven in the same mold as like a Kyle Van Noy? Is it similar body type, similar play style?
Just the way they produce, right? Yeah. I feel like Zaven's a guy that can get you 60 tackles, between 6 to 9 sacks, something like that, which is that's Van Noy. I just think that they're similar producers, nice floors.
I was just going to look up. So
versatile pieces, right? I mean,
yes.
That's what they're kind of like these tweener types, right? Like Van Noy, that's how he was at the beginning of his career, I believe. Like he was kind of playing a little off ball, like in New England. I feel like that he's one of those.
Yeah, I wanted to look it up. So they're about the same size. So Kyle Van Noy is 6'3", 250, according to Pro Football Reference, and Zaven Collins is 6'4", 260.
Yeah.
So Zaven's got an inch and 10 pounds on him, but they're not big enough to be a true edge rusher, but kind of too big and bulky to be a true off-ball linebacker.
Right.
So sort of this tweener position.
That makes them usually pretty good tacklers, though.
Yes. So especially with Zaven starting out as a linebacker.
Exactly.
I think it gives you a better tackle
So that's the
floor.
thing. With Zaven, like I am willing to be a little more patient with him. Like I think he could turn into that, right? Like he's been disappointing and a bust so far, right?
Absolutely. Well, just if he was
I think
drafted.
if he would have stuck around as off-ball, he could. I don't know. He may have just fizzled out at that position.
Well, if he had been a third-round pick as opposed to a first-round pick,
yeah,
we'd feel a lot different. We'd be like, Zaven's actually been a nice little value as like a third-round rookie, but the expectations were just way too big for what this guy's done so far. So, yeah, unfortunately, he's a bust for that reason.
Yeah. But he could be solid. We could look up and he's still playing in his 30s and doing stuff like this,
Freak athletes.
Will this show still be going on?
No, we'll be dead by then.
I think so, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I for sure will be.
Yeah, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. There is a player that you had here that you don't think is going to be in this round for much longer.
Yeah, Keisean Nixon would have been my pick, if I had to make a pick, but that's just
feels like cheating.
Dumb.
Yeah, let's see how much
he won't be there.
Let's see how much he's risen. And
I just took him in the 9th.
Yeah, he's jumped up 34 spots by ADP from 176.9 to 142.4.
Yeah, honestly, I think he should be right there with Branch, Witherspoon, Keisean Nixon should be right there.
Kick and punt return yards, we should point out, folks. Big 3 scoring.
Right. If you're not in a league that, doesn't have kick return or punt return yards, he's not he's not worth much at all.
But you should change that because you should get kick and punt
needs
return yards.
Yes, for sure.
So let's move to the 16th round and talk about David Long, who, seen a little bit of buzz, a little bit of chatter about David Long potentially getting the green dot there in Miami. And we should mention the 16th round is another one of those booty cheeks rounds. Talanoa Hufanga, Jamin Davis, Cam Jordan, L'Jarius Sneed, Isaiah Simmons, Damone Clark, David Long, Grant Delpit, Azeez Ojulari, Chop Robinson, Reed Blankenship, Kenny Moore. This is that aisle of defensive backs where I just don't want to be shopping. I think it's still too early. I typically start looking to be 18th, 19th round, so I'm not wanting to pull the trigger in this round. And you've got Jamin Davis, you've got Isaiah Simmons, you've got Damone Clark and Azeez Ojulari and unproven guys like Chop Robinson. So, yeah, I'll take David Long. A lot of dicey names here. Give me the guy who's a contender for the green dot. I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on July green dot speculation.
On all the speculation.
Yeah.
What's going on? Well, I mean, everyone misses football. We get it.
Every little bit of news is like, just a tasty morsel for the starving.
Yeah, this guy's number 1 on the depth chart now.
This guy took first team reps.
It is, and like with David Long especially too, because I mean, let's also remember Anthony Walker just got brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Brooks just got brought in.
Yes, they did.
I think Duke Riley is still there, who had a little stint at the end of last season, but that was like out of necessity. It was a break glass situation.
That glass had to be broken pretty much at every single position for the Dolphins.
Yes. So He's definitely got some risk. But, I mean, if you can get him here in the 16th round, the problem is I don't think he will be anymore. I think he's going to be rising off of that buzz, right?
I don't think it's caught up yet. He's actually slid 5 spots post-draft, but I think we only have maybe a handful of drafts post-draft.
I know I raised him up.
5 to 10 range. So
I definitely raised him up in the ranks.
yeah, he'll probably jump, I would say. If he's going right now at 190, I think he'll move probably 30-plus spots.
Yeah.
If we were to do this episode again in like a month.
But it is one of those things where I'm not sure it makes sense to get too excited because, like I said, Anthony Walker, Jordan Brooks, I mean, those are 2 solid veterans. And
Yeah.
Jordan Brooks is going to be the starter there. They paid him a lot of money.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's what makes me hesitant to say, like, okay, David Long, green dot, but, like, are you going to have a green dot who's playing 60 to 70% of the snaps? That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Kind of odd.
But Long, 110 tackles, 9.9 points per game last season. You could do worse here. I mean, you got Jamin Davis, who's basically just dead and buried.
You're in that range with linebacker, man. That's why I don't like being desperate for linebackers.
You've talked about starting off stacking linebackers early in these drafts because it thins out very quickly.
There's like 45 good ones.
Yep.
That you feel good about. You feel good about their roles,
And now we're here at David Long, LB66, and this range is mega
Drops
stinky.
off, man. A lot of risk in that range.
Yep. So let's go to your pick, though, Addy. Who do you like in the 16th round?
Kenny Moore. I'm fine taking old Kenny Moore here in the 16th.
Kenny. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Kenny. 84.5 tackles per season over his last 4 seasons. That's 5.5 tackles per game. 206 total points in 2023. 109 in an injury short in 2022. 230 points in 2021. 208 points in 2020. So over 200 points in 3 of his last 4 years. Guy's an absolute dog. The definition of dog. Love me some Kenny Moore. I don't see any reason why he doesn't have another, top cornerback season.
No reason to think he won't score 200 points again.
Yeah, he'll be in that range.
Defense is exactly the same. Cornerbacks aren't great.
The cornerbacks,
Indy.
yeah, I've taken a lot of Juju Brents. I like Juju Brents quite a bit.
I got some shares as well.
And then Dallas Flowers has some potential if he gets that
kick and punt return job. So
and maybe if he plays this, gets one of those 3 starting cornerbacks.
Yeah, we'll see. I know it's going to be Kenny in the slot, Juju out wide, and then whoever that second wide corner. We'll see. The safety spot opposite Julian Blackmon is really the talking point of Colts training camp right now.
Yeah, who is that going to be?
I have no idea. I'll look it up. It might legitimately be Nick Cross right now.
Rodney Thomas still there.
Maybe on our lads. I know Ballard has talked about, we like our guys. I want our guys to, don't give us a reason to go sign it. It's like, just go sign Justin Simmons.
Yeah,
Ballard,
man.
what in the world are you doing?
Yeah, for real.
Quit
man.
trying to be cute. You never do anything in free agency. You always sit on your hands, and we end up not having the horses to finish out the season because you're banking on 6th and 7th round picks that have no business seeing the field in their first or second year. Yeah, it's literally Nick Cross right now with Ronnie Harrison and Rodney Thomas backing him up.
Ronnie Harrison played linebacker last year.
That he did. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Let's address it. So I love Kenny Moore. That's a great pick. Another pick I love, 1708, KJ Britt. Addy, I think you mentioned it on the stream, and I went and grabbed the exact quote. Britt could be this year's biggest sleeper. Here's the argument. The market has been cooling on Savassier Dennis post-draft. That is the correct move, but it obviously is painful because that name is sick. Britt has been rising, but he's still only in the 14th round post-draft, which is nuts to me. Guys, there is a chance that KJ Britt is just straight up better than Devin White. The Tampa Bay coaches certainly seemed to think so last year when they repeatedly benched Devin White for KJ Britt. It's the same staff there for 2024. Weird quirk of the Bucs coaching staff, they don't have a defensive coordinator. It's just Todd Bowles. You search for defensive coordinator on their coaching page, nothing to be found. So I love getting a potentially better version of Devin White there opposite Levante David in Tampa Bay. If you want the guy who could be the out-of-nowhere top 12 finisher at LB, I think Britt is the best candidate now going as LB 68. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, that ain't going to be happening anymore. I think he just went, like, early in our mock.
That he did, and he has risen, not a whole lot, looks like 27 spots, so basically like 2+ rounds.
Still great value.
Still great value.
If you can get him, like...
He's going as 170.9 right now.
I mean, I'd be willing to take him, like, in the 10th round, 9th or 10th round, I think, in
Yeah.
IDP only best.
And he is way past that right now.
Yeah. But I think he'll end up settling around that range. He'll end up settling, like, he'll go before Jerome Baker and Tyrel Dodson, I think.
I think he should.
Yeah.
I like KJ Britt better than both those guys.
Yeah, and there's all the hype about him being, like, a really good locker room presence, right? Leader type. So that plays well. Also, you got to feel like he'll be like the thumper type.
Yeah.
I mean, Levante Davids will be fine letting him go and rack up all the tackles.
Yep.
So, and I think that's just the type of player he is anyway. So
This is the guy I want to get on as many rosters as I possibly can.
go check your waivers too. I just picked him up in a very deep dynasty league, Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
A lot of people just
I got him.
sleeping all the time.
I got him at the very end of our auction, in our XFFL
Yeah.
auction. So
he can be had. Go check
Yes.
your waivers.
he's
I'm actually gonna do that. I think I was gonna. I guess I could do a tweet, but that'd be a good article. Dynasty waivers.
There you go. I'm about it because KJ Britt is out there and he should not be.
Brandon Jones, I picked him up recently.
Yep, we'll talk about him in just a little bit.
Ifeatu Melifanu, I've picked him up this offseason. I picked up a lot of guys like Zach Bond. You can go get him right now.
Yep. And it's not going to cost you anything. So if the Zach Bond hype doesn't pan out, just cut him
cares?
loose. He's on your waivers.
You probably can make room for him.
Yes.
Like, I mean, there was a lot of just guy like, why is this guy on my team? Get
I
him
would
outta here.
I would love that setup if you're telling me guys that are on your dynasty waivers that shouldn't be, and then who are the guys on your dynasty rosters that shouldn't be? Because if you're picking somebody up, typically you have to drop somebody else. So
Probably should cut this because this will get stolen like everything else we do.
don't steal this, folks. Let us put this out first.
They're listening.
Don't listen. Who is your pick here? Another linebacker that is being slept on because one of these New England linebackers is going to emerge, and you're going with
Jahlani Tavai.
17-12.
Yeah, this is simple. Good player. Just got a nice little payday. 13.1% tackle rate in 2023. Finished with 110 tackles across 17 games played on 74% of the snaps. Tavai was PFF's 4th highest graded linebacker in 2023.
Did not know that.
Isn't that wild?
That's pretty good.
So I think, like KJ Britt, we're going to see his ADP creep up some, but I expect him to still kind of be a nice little value. Like I expect him to be in this like round 14 to 15 range, I'd say.
He's already up 12 spots post-draft.
Okay.
Sitting as LB 69.
That's good though, man. I mean, I'm fine. Like if I do, if I mess around and don't get the linebackers that I want, I'm okay taking someone like Jahlani Tavai, in these mid rounds. I took him in the IDP drafts mock.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy to me that you look at someone like KJ Britt sitting as LB 68, and I do think this will correct. But, like, if you assume that there's 2 viable starting linebackers from every team, how is KJ Britt as the second LB for Tampa Bay not going in the top 64 linebackers? He's
Yeah.
being drafted as an LB3 right now.
Yeah.
I just make it make sense, folks. I don't understand this.
Well, people just weren't on board with it at first,
Or they were like Savasi Dennis.
Yeah, there was a
breakout
little bit of
incoming,
that.
you know?
Now Britt's got some hype,
Yeah.
but that world could still exist. I mean, I've got a lot of leagues where I've got them both. KJ Britt and Servassier, and I'm not dropping Servassier right now.
Not doing it.
Also,
How could you
I
ever
mean,
drop that name?
Yeah, I mean, if something does happen for KJ Britt, I mean, we all know what the article name is going to be called.
Pass the Savasier.
Sure,
Love it. Still that as well, folks. That's a freebie for you.
you can have that. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So
It's not
New
mine.
England linebackers.
I stole that one.
You stole that one. So now it can be stolen as well.
That's right.
Yes. Jahlani Tavai. I mean, you also have Juwan Bentley there as well. Who's the other linebacker there that's kind of stinky, but
They brought in Taki.
Yeah, Sione Takitake is there as
And
well.
then you got Jabril Peppers, who gets a ton of box snaps.
Yep.
You got Kyle Duggar, who gets a ton of box snaps. So
You got Marte Mapu.
Right.
That team is just made up of like weird tweener, sort of fungible pieces.
Yeah, they'll be good though.
You know, oh, it'll be a top 5 defense.
Yeah,
you can count on that. Speaking of the Patriots defense, let's go to another guy, and this is important, folks. This is an important moment for me. 18th round. We're talking about Keisean Gonzalez. This is the Patriot that made me finally break my streak of never drafting a Patriots player. I broke that rule in order to draft Keisean Gonzalez. That was the one that made me break the seal. We didn't get a lot of the first round pick last year, but what we got was good, y'all. Week 1, 22.55 points. Week 2, 17.5 points. Week 3, 7.25. Week 4, done for the season. He racked up 16 tackles in those 3 healthy games. I think this is one of the nicest sleeper DB picks in these drafts right now, Keisean Gonzalez, just because he got hurt. You know, you're getting the injury discount here, and I will scoop that up all day long for Keisean Gonzalez.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Gonzalez. It was an ACL tear, though, so...
It was in week 4,
Yeah.
so end of September.
But, yeah, I haven't taken Keisean Gonzalez. in
Going
any
as
of these.
DB 40 at 203 post-draft.
I've just found a lot of other guys that, you know, I've fallen in love
I just
with.
think if he is healthy, what we
Yeah.
saw was
really
nice.
Yeah, big fan. I think he's going to be good. And then, yeah, I mean, you got to be encouraged with the way he produced immediately. That's usually pretty good signs. But, yeah, he'll be their 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, who else is there cornerback-wise? I'll look up.
Marcus Jones.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a really...
The Patriots are lads. People have to be like, dear God, we have no idea where these guys are going to start. We're going to get all sorts of flack.
We don't know who any of these guys are.
No, we don't know who anyone is. Yeah, so right now...
That would be interesting, like, how many casuals can name a starter on New England's defense?
Oh, not a lot.
You know?
Not a lot.
I mean, could they name any?
Could they name
Do people
more?
know who Matt Judon is?
Probably not. They probably still think he's in, like, Baltimore.
Probably so.
You know? But right now, they pencil in Jonathan Jones and Keisean Gonzalez as the 2 starting cornerbacks, with Marcus Jones as the nickelback and Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers be hot as the starting safeties.
Yeah, so Keisean Gonzalez will be good. He'll have plenty of opportunity. And
That
then,
defense is, like, low-key all right.
Oh, yeah, man.
Keon White,
Forever.
Mathieu Judon as the edge rushers. You've got Godshaw and Christian Barmore inside, Bentley and Tavai with Taki and Raekwon McMillan as well.
You got some young guys up. Keon White. See what he turns into. You mentioned him.
Yeah, Dietrich Wise is there as well. So it's just like nobody's sexy, but everyone's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So Keisean Gonzalez is my pick in the 18th round. Who is your pick, Addy? And I like this one a lot as well.
Mike Danna. I got 17% exposure to Danna. Danna. Is it Danna?
Danna. I think it's Mike Danna.
Mike Danna. But yeah, I mentioned Danna last week. I think our buddy Jax took him. But I saw a video this offseason that showed how loved and respected he was in the Kansas City locker room. So that made my ears perk up a little bit. And I expect him to have a nice role again in 2024. You know, Charles Omenihu, who was playing really well last season, he tore his ACL in the playoffs. FAU doesn't seem ready. Did you realize that Danna got 74% of the snaps last season?
When I saw that stat from you in the doc, that blew my mind. I thought maybe like 50% of snaps for Mike Danna.
Yeah, man. That had to be like one of the healthiest snap shares in the league. I mean, I'd say that was like probably top 30. I would think.
Yes,
you know?
I would say so.
But I mean, I kind of expect him to get somewhere around that same range. You know, led to a career year last year for Danna, 50 tackles, 6.5 sacks. PFF numbers weren't really anything special, but again, this is just a volume play. I'm fine taking him here in the 18th round.
Yeah, I wanted to see if he was actually higher than George Karlaftis. So Karlaftis edged him out just a little bit, but right there, neck and neck with Mike Danna.
Yeah,
So
pretty interesting.
yep, very slept on. Just not a sexy. Everyone wants FAU to be that next guy. It's sort of like the Sam Williams corollary where it's like, let's just not sleep on the veteran who's there.
Yeah.
Who's proven
Been
himself,
solid,
right?
who everyone likes.
Yep. And it's always interesting to me, the guys that are the locker room leaders, because oftentimes those guys are not like the biggest name players, and so it's like, I think, having your star player be your leader in the locker room is always like probably the most desired thing from like the coaching staff. They'd love for that to be the case, but I think it's really interesting when like a Mike Danna is like a big time locker room guy.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Just well respected. Just the way he goes about his business is what everyone was kind of echoing.
Yeah.
Talking about him. So love
hear
that
it.
stuff. Yep.
Love to hear it. 19th round. We are firmly on the DB train now, folks. This is when I typically start looking for DBs. There's some really good options available here. But, Addy, your safety 14, Brandon Jones, going at the 1905 is the safety 31 right now.
That's crazy, isn't it?
So you talk about ways to gain an advantage in drafts. That's why we always talk about fade DB, is because there are options like this where you have a 17 spot difference between ranking and ADP. And don't forget, the Broncos like Brandon Jones. They gave him a 3-year, $20 million contract. It'll be him. PJ Locke as the two starters in Denver. It's been an up and down ride with Jones over the course of his career, but I think he seems primed for a bounce back season there in Denver. So give me Brandon Jones at 1905, Addy.
Yep, up and down because there was a lot of competition there in Miami. He was a young guy, got hurt a lot. So, I mean, that'll happen. But, yeah, I mean, this team, his new team gave him some nice money, 3 years, $20 million like you mentioned, and then great usage. I mean, the guy always plays a ton of box, a healthy amount of slot snaps, I think. Just a nice big play type guy. So, good tackler, and then get you some sacks, get you some TFLs. That's beautiful at this point in the draft.
And then get your reader.
Get your reader.
Well, you got another nice pick here,
Sure.
though, at DB in the 19th round. Who you going with?
Taron Johnson. I have 42% exposure to Taron Johnson. So one of my most drafted defensive backs. Buffalo just gave Taron Johnson a well-deserved 3-year, $31 million contract. He's averaging 90 tackles per season over his last 4 seasons, 179.8 total points in 2020, 161.3 in 2021, 162.7 in 2022, and 174 in 2023.
Won you the playoff fantasy tournament that we did one year. So
Yeah.
I both love and hate Taron Johnson for that reason.
I love the guy. He is.
And the Bills love the guy.
He is awesome. Great usage. He's their slot corner.
Yep.
Physical, aggressive, just the embodiment of a slot corner these days.
You really could just load up here on slept-on safeties like Brandon Jones and slot corners.
Yep.
And just feast going
Yep.
late DB.
That's why I do it.
Yep. It's a good way to go about it. So Brandon Jones, Taron Johnson, two fantastic options here in the 19th round. That was fun talking DBs. Let's jump back to linebacker for the 20th round. My final pick here, Jack Gibbens at the 2002. The Titans LB2, sorry to the Cedric Grayheads out there, maybe Cedric Graybeards out there. Gibbens has been getting, sort of like David Long, a little bit of green dot buzz here in July. So take that with a grain of salt, but it is interesting. It's just Kenneth Murray ahead of him, and we do like Kenneth Murray for 2023. But if nothing else, Jack Gibbens is one of the elite linebacker handcuffs. I don't think this is going to be a situation where Cedric Gray is going to leapfrog Gibbens if Kenneth Murray were to go down. If that were to happen, we've already seen it. Jack Gibbens just slots right in as the LB1. Not sexy, but very startable. And I think he could see your lineup if something happens to Kenneth Murray.
But even if not, I mean, if the linebacker 2 role could still be 60% of the snaps.
Yep.
Which is what it was last year, and he
Jack
was
Gibbens
very usable.
he just needs that door crack just a little bit.
Yeah, he can do a lot with a little. But we just hope that he gets, a little more.
A little more be good. I wouldn't be mad about it at all.
I mean, I'm with you. I do like that. I think he's going to go up in ADP as well, just because people are kind of hip to that. That's the news lately. But Yeah, I mean, that's another one of those that could really, really work out for you. I mean, that could be like KJ Britt-esque.
Yeah, he has jumped up about 20 spots post-draft, so I would think that's going to continue to rise. He's going as LB 74 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have Gibbens. I'd rather have Britt over like David Long, who is going ahead of them.
Agreed. It's LB 74. This is the Titans LB2, guys. Again, why is a team's LB2 going outside the 64?
Yeah, but their LB1 is Kenneth Murray.
Exactly.
Like a guy that has been up and down his whole career so far. So, yeah, I mean, this guy needs to be drafted.
Kenneth Murray probably has some of the most volatility baked into his 2024 projection, right?
Yeah, I'm not really drafting him anymore now. Because
it's like if you hit with Kenneth Murray, it could be very good. But the trap door is sitting there, and it's starting to rattle a little bit, and I'm just a little nervous.
Yeah,
just a little nervous.
Well, he's up there he's like in the 7th or 8th round now.
Yeah, let's see what Kenneth Murray's been doing. I think he's been a big time riser. Yeah, he's jumped up 12 spots from 101 to 89. So 96 is 12 rounds. So that's 8.
Yeah, he's in the 8th or 9th round.
Yeah. 8th round.
That's okay, I guess. But
if he's going earlier than that, that's a little rich.
Yeah, which I've seen him go earlier than that, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because 8 rounds is 96 picks. So, yeah, he's somewhere in that, like, middle of the 8th round right now. So, yeah, I think Jack Gibbens, very nice pick here in the 20th round. Very nice linebacker handcuff and could be valuable on his own right, even if Kenneth Murray plays. So, you had a 2-pack here to wrap us up, Addy. Who you going with?
Yeah, just the twofer just a little honorable mention. But the main guy here is Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is my highest drafted player this offseason. I have 67% exposure, and I've done 13 drafts this offseason. So
yeah, I think I'm at 10 right now.
I expect Ramsey to play more slot in 2024. And remember, when Ramsey was playing slot for the Rams, he was DB3 in 2022, and he was DB7 in 2021. So total points for 2022, 243.7, 217.7 in 2021. So he was a stud.
Yep.
He was a stud.
I think we just forgot because what kind of injury did he have? Was it like
it was a major one, I think. I think it was like a ACL.
I'll have to look. I thought it was maybe like a torn meniscus or something.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
It wasn't because he came back, I think, sooner than we all anticipated.
Yeah.
So.
But, I mean, they got a DC in there now. So, I mean, I don't think you can just – and also he was recovering from that injury. So,
yeah, he had it's knee injury. I'll look up what kind of specific knee injury because it was training camp, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. They had all the buzz about him, you know.
Yes, it was a torn meniscus.
So, yeah, I like the bounce back for Jalen Ramsey. New coach, should be a different role. We've already heard the coach talk about that, wanting to utilize him in different ways and more – you know, all over the field. Because under Fangio, he was stuck to one side of the field. Like, Fangio didn't – I don't think those two got along. I remember seeing interviews with Jalen Ramsey, and he did not seem pleased about his – he didn't seem pleased ever.
No.
But he did not seem happy about the way he was being used. So I think it ain't going to get worse. I feel like it's probably not going to get peak, you know, L.A. Rams, Jalen Ramsey's.
But it should be better than last year.
I think so. We could see him in that Taron Johnson range to get 160 to 190 points, I think. And that's well worth a pick in the 20th round.
Yep, 2009. And you also have the Honey Badger on here.
Honey Badger, I have 42% exposure to Honey Badger. Just to, look at the log, look at the history. The guy's been very good for a long time. And he's I would not be surprised if we see him have one of his best seasons this year. So
yeah, going to the 2007.
Yeah, one of those guys that 42%, Ramsey 67%. You can kind of see Taron Johnson 42%. That's usually I got one of those guys on every single team.
You're getting one of those guys here when you start going late round DB shopping.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you all for tuning in. This has been the 20 best values in the middle of your IDP drafts. We appreciate you all tuning in, listening. This is a big best ball week for us because we had the IDP drafts live stream on Tuesday. Check that out if you haven't. We also have a podcast feed for that if you'd prefer to listen to it. And then we just launched the 2024 version of IDP Madness. 12 leagues, 144 spots, first come, first serve. So get over there, theidpshow.com. It's at the top of the website. You will see it. You fill out the form, register. We'll send you a league-safe link invite to pay your dues, and then we'll get you added to your league. And as soon as your league is full, you all can start drafting. So
maybe win $500.
$500 prize for the first place team. I think we did 125 for second, 75 for third, and then each league winner gets $20. So if you win your league, you will 4x your entry fee of $5. So come check it out, IDP Madness, theidpshow.com. But hope you all enjoyed this episode. I know I had a lot of fun and learned a lot diving into these middle rounds. Next week, we'll be talking training camp. And from here on out, guys, it will pretty much be training camp updates, preseason updates. We're going to be looking at all the news that you need to know. We'll be having Mikey Dubs on the show here pretty soon to talk about his projected 3-down linebackers for 2024. So just trying to get you all right before the start of the season. We know a lot of y'all are tuning back in for the first time. You got drafts coming up in August. So tune in. Stick with us. We're going to get you right, Addy, for the start of the season.
Yeah, remember, these are mid-round picks. Don't be taking these guys too early.
Yes, don't be reaching on these guys.
These are the values. You let these guys fall to you.
In a lot of drafts, especially if it's more casual drafters, these guys will probably fall even further than what we've talked about here, because a lot of the drafters making up this ADP have been drafting since February.
A lot of those guys will be on your waivers.
Yes.
Like in the leagues where you start 2 defensive ends, like our RSO league, we start 2 defensive end, 1 defensive tackle, 3 linebackers, 2 cornerbacks, 2 safeties, and a flex. In those leagues, waivers should be loaded with defensive ends.
Loaded with defensive end.
Yeah, I would imagine Calvin Oy's probably out there. Preston Smith's probably out there.
Yep.
Like,
go take you a peek.
I've scooped up. So I just picked up him, Preston Smith, in my RSO league. So because I knew you'd probably be in on it here pretty soon. So I was like, I better just go ahead and get him.
All right. Well, we need to talk trade after this for the brand, but make sure you check out theidpshow.com. We had a great deep dive article from Jace Abbey looking at Trenton Simpson. Make sure you subscribe to the IDP Show on YouTube, youtube.com/@theidpshow. We have podcast feeds now, like we mentioned, for IDP Drafts. The first episode of IDP Bets with Johnny the Greek will be coming here in the coming weeks, looking at like futures bets. We've got the Twitters is cranking now. Jeff Pomazal's putting out IDP minutes every single day.
We're on Twitter Blue now.
Yes, we had to get Twitter Blue. Thank you, Elon, for making us pay for live streaming over there, you bastard. But yes, we are verified now if you notice the check mark. So next week, like we said, we will be starting up some training camp updates. So until then, you all take care, and we'll see you soon.
It's the IDP show. Now you